Hey everyone, welcome to the Wednesday Wise Guys. My name is Cheryl. Today is October 21st. We're kind of bummed around here because all of our fabric deliveries are behind, so we don't even have anything new in fabric to show you today. So we decided to kind of go old school, back into some the archives of projects that for some of you it may seem like an old project, been there, done that. For some of you it may be a new project that you haven't seen, but I do have a little twist on how to get kind of a 2-for-1 special out of it. So hopefully I can show you something that you didn't know even if you've done this project before. So what we're doing today is the 60-degree runner triangle. Some places also refer to it as the 5-seam table runner. So it's the 60-degree triangle runner that we're doing. So I have a sample behind me. You work with bordered prints to do these, so you get that stripe going around the inside and outside of your runner. So first I'm going to do a little demonstration with how it was originally, the original pattern tells you how to cut it. So again, you're going to be working with your 60-degree runner. You buy it, you have a border print, and you're going to be cutting that border print into identical repeats. Okay, so this one, I have my poinsettia strip, and then I have my plaid strip. Okay, a little later on, I'm going to be going through a whole bunch of different border prints, talking about different ways to cut them up. But for right now, we're just going to be working with these 2 strips. So I need 2 strips for 1 runner. I'm going to stack them up so that my plaid is on top of my plaid, my poinsettia is on top of my poinsettia. And then I'm going to grab my ruler. This is the Creative Grids ruler. It's nice because the tip is already flattened off for you, so you don't have to try to eyeball where that 1/4 inch is for the tip. So when I set this down, I want my tip of my ruler to be right at the edge of my layered strips. So again, I have two pieces of fabric layered, and then I'm just going to follow the line on my ruler to make sure that I'm keeping it straight. I want to make sure that I pull my ruler in far enough so that I'm not off the edge of my strip. Okay. This one is a 12.5-inch ruler. My strip right now is like 8 1/4. Another popular one is the 8-inch ruler. It would work on this strip, but I wouldn't be able to do anything bigger than that. So if you have this, you can do it, but if you don't have one, sometimes for this project, a 12.5-inch ruler is nicer just because it gives you a little more option. Okay. So I'm going to take my rotary cutter, and I'm going to double check. I got my line straight here. I have a little peak out here, and my flat point of my ruler is on the edge. And I'm going to cut on both sides of my triangle. Okay, this one is scrap. You can set that to the side. Okay, I'm going to pull this one off to the side. Now I need to cut a second triangle out of here. So this time I'm going to flip my ruler around. And I'm going to line it up just the same. So now my cut edge is right along the edge of my ruler. The flat of my tip is at the edge of my strip. And I'm going to cut along this side. Okay. This set of triangles I need to pull out and set aside. So they're not going to be used in the project. Okay, so I'm going to set them over here. Now I'm just going to slide it down, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. One thing you need to be very careful of is that you always have the ruler on the same side when you're starting. So on this end, I had my flat of my tip pointing away from me, so I need to do it on the same end. I need to make sure that I got a little bit of fabric here and that one of my lines is straight. I'm going to cut this one. Okay. This one I need to save. Now I need to turn my ruler around. And I'm going to cut this one. So this one I'm going to pull out, set this aside. So I have 4 triangles that we're not using that we had to cut out of this project. Now, and this is kind of short just because we're doing a demo.
We can see it all on the camera.
Yeah. So I have 2 triangles here and 2 triangles here. Okay. If I take the top piece and I take it and I turn it, and then I'm going to take one of my triangles and I'm going to sew it onto, I can pull it up just a smidge if you need me to. I'm going to sew it onto this end. And I'm going to, when I pin, I'm going to make sure that specific lines. Here, I'm not real worried if this shifts a little bit, but I want this little red line to try to stay as intact as I can, so your eye follows that around. The same with the red line on the outside. My plaid, if it shifts a little bit, I'm okay. So I look at very specific spots to try to keep my intersections straight and even. So I'm going to sew 1 triangle onto each end. So this is seam 1, seam 2, seam 3, seam 4. I make my 2 halves. And then I end up sewing down the middle. That's the 5th seam. And that is your finished table runner. So it's a fun little project. It goes fairly quickly because it was easy cutting, easy sewing. Typically we don't, because binding around these edges can be a little bit tricky because this is not a right degree corner or a 90-degree corner. So we like to put them right side together with our back, sew around it, leave a hole and flip it through. But you can just layer it with a back and batting and bind it as normal if you like to. Okay, so that's the basics of how the project is done. What I didn't like was you have 4 leftover triangles. And what do you do with 4 triangles? Now, if I make another one, I would have 8 leftover triangles, and I can use 6 of them to make a little hexagon table mat or something. But it was just bugging me as to, isn't there a way that I don't get these leftovers? So I'm going to show you the possible way of doing that. Okay, so I have my same fabric, same strips, but with the first one, I cut one this way, and then I had to flip it, and I cut one this way. So in my brain, I was thinking, well, if you have one going in each direction, if you cut 2 different strips, is there a way to flip them so that one triangle fits on one set and the other triangle fits on the other set? So I found that if I cut 4 identical strips, and that's one of the big things when we look at our fabrics, you have to make sure you have 4 identical strips. I can take 2 of those strips, okay, stack them up, and I'm going to have the plaid side towards me. Then I'm going to take the other 2 strips and I'm going to turn them so that the plaid side is away from me. Get a little straighter here. Sometimes when you're working with strips, trying to cut them straight, your fabric can be a little crooked, so you might have to do a little pulling and tugging on your corners, or use a little bit of the breast press or spray starch to try to get them squared up a little bit. So now again, I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to place it on the same way, so my point is flat. I'm pulled in from my corner. My line is going across straight. I'm going to cut both sides. Oops. Well, first I got to cut it. All right. I'm going to set these aside. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to do the same thing. And again, I have to make sure that my tip is at the same end on each one. So now, when I separate these, I'm going to get 2 different table runners. So I'm going to take the top 2 pieces, that have the plaid on pointing away from me, which this triangle came off of, but if I take the two triangles from the bottom two pieces and turn it, it now gives me the triangle I needed. Where in the first one, in order to make this one fit here when it was the same, I had to cut another piece out so I could fit that triangle in here. Here, my bottom two triangles will fit my top two strips, and my top two triangles will fit onto, nope, my bottom triangles will fit on my top strip. So you just flip them around. So again, this one is going to go to here. And what you get is a reverse of the order of your fabrics. So on this one, I would have my plaid around the outside. And on this one, I'd have my plaid going down the center. So again, the ones behind me, this one has the stars in the middle and my little holly vine on the outside. Here I had my stars on the outside and my holly vine fell in the middle. Same exact runner, same exact fabric, but you get a very different look depending upon where your strips are placed. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to everybody. Again, the biggest thing is you have to have 4 absolutely identical repeats. Now I kept saying that you have to cut from the same side every time. Okay, and I'm going to grab a sample to show you. I have a friend who borrowed me some of her finished ones, and when she brought them out, oh, aren't these cute, right? So this one has the little blue jars around the outside, this one has the little blue jars on the inside. Except that one of them is long and one of them is short. So it's like, well, why is this one so much shorter? And then she remembered that when she had it layered up, she started where she cut from this side, right? So she started with her daisy in the middle and the jars are going to be on the outside. But then I can cut left-handed and right-handed. She can't. So she walked around her table and then laid her ruler down going in the opposite direction. Okay? So you can't always have it be that the ruler points away from you. It points away from you both times if you're standing on the same side. Okay? But if you walk around the table, then you got to pretend like it's glued to your belly because it then needs to go this way. Okay? So that's one of the big tips is all of a sudden you have one angle going this way and the other angle going this way. Why isn't it working? Because you started once on this side and then you didn't keep it on the same side. You went to this side. Okay? So if you, actually I said that wrong. If you walk around on this way, you have to have it pointed away from you, but if I walk around to the other side, now I have to have it pointed to me because I'm standing from that side. I always need to start on the same side of the fabric. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Let's have a thumbs up. Yay, that was a thumbs up. All right.
Okay, so it's just one of the tips to think about when you're making these. Okay. Now I went through the shop and I collected a bunch of the border stripes that we have, and I'm just going to open them up a little bit and talk about some of the different options. Okay, so this is a cute little baby print. You know, this would be real durable as a dresser runner or you know, just over the side of a crib if you want something small. So this one you tend to automatically say, okay, first you have to look at how can I get 4 repeats. So if I go from my blue star down to my little bumblebee, that would be 1 repeat. And then the next one, my blue star to my bumblebee, blue star to bumblebee, and then blue star to bumblebee. So I actually have an extra one in there, which tells me I have an option to play around with my stripes. So if I flip this over, if I look at the bottom, so we were looking at going from here to here. So this blue star would be on either the inside or the outside, and your little bumblebee star stripe would also be on the inside or the outside of the opposite one. But what if I like it better like this, where my little bumblebee stripe is bordered by my stars and then my animals are going to be the inside or the outside. Okay, so that's an option because I can get one here. I would cut here, and then I'd have my bordered bumblebee with my animal, bordered bumblebee with animal.
Say that 3 times fast.
Bordered bumblebee with the animals, okay? So again, it gives me some extra, an extra strip. But when you start looking at it, you can play with where you cut it on some of them, not all of them, okay? This is one where it could be just a fun, very graphic, whoops. It's flipped up here, there we go. Okay, so this is one where I could just cut piano key, black, piano key, and maybe add the black in. So I'd start one white, one black, okay? If I like the look of black keys, black keys, black, okay? That means this is gonna be a wasted one because my next one has to start here. Black keys, black keys, black. I can keep doing that. This would be my wasted one. And then when I flip it over, this would be my first black stripe, my keys, my black stripe, my keys, my black, my wasted one, black key, stripe. Now the only issue with this one is this first one. In order to do that, this very first one is actually my salvage, and these little dots are here. If you really wanted to be able to do that, what I would do is just cut off my salvage, take a piece of solid black, and piece in that one section so that I could have that full strip on the top and bottom. Otherwise, each one would need to start with the white and then end with the black.
Just hold up that salvage edge real close here. What we're talking about, you can see the salvage there has got the little holes in it. That's what she's...
Yeah. So, and with the holes, you would still see it, especially if that edge was down your middle, you would see this middle with all these little holes in there. So you want to try to avoid using that. But if that's the only thing preventing you from having the strip that you want, you could just cut it off and add in that little half-inch or inch strip of black if you needed to. So again, this is just a little, this one is, nope, we're right. So again, a little blue work one. There's not a whole lot of choices. You could either have the birds with the vine blue on either side, or you could start with the blue, the birds, the blue, and then the vine, and that would be your dividing area. So again, you just want to look at it to see where you can cut it, and if you can get those 4 repeats, if you want to do 2 at the same time. If you want all of them to look like this, you don't want any to look like this, you have no choice. You have to do it the original way where you cut out both triangles, because you're always going to get one of each when you do the double up one. This is the perfect example of one that does not have identical repeats. At first when you look at it, you're like, oh, won't that be cute? And it would be, except that this one, you have your little tools and then your bowl, but the next one is the apron and your bowl, and then the tools and the bowl. Okay, so right now I have 2 of them with tools and 1 with an apron. And if I flip it over, I'm going to keep going. Apron, bowl, tools, bowl. So I'm only going to get 3 strips of any combination. I can't do the 4 strips to get 2 runners. So again, this one would then give you, the only way you can do it is the original way. And now I can say, well then, I want it double wide, and I want my bowls in the middle, and I want my aprons and my tools, and that's going to be my runner. Okay? So you really have to watch to make sure that they repeat in the same order every single time. For all you puppy lovers out there. And again, you have your dogs, and in between your dogs you have the little black stripe, the pine cones, the red, the star. You know, you can kind of decide on either one of them which line you want to cut on to get different looks. So if this one's, if I prefer this to be smaller, I could actually almost cut this in half if I wanted to. okay? But you just have to get that repeat. Again, very plain and simple. This one you would have two choices, or three. I could do just one repeat. I could have my little berries with flowers on either side, or I could have my row of flowers with my berries on either side. You have enough in this fabric because they're small enough to do, you have three different choices.
And somebody just posted a question that I answered yes to. Hopefully they can hear me. If the triangles can be any size you want, whatever height you want your runner to be.
Right. I kind of tend to like to not have them be much over 8 inches. This one, it was a 10-inch strip, and it gets to be, because it's going to be double, so this got to be a 20-inch wide table runner. So to go much over 10 inches, you don't need a 24 or 27-inch wide table runner, unless you have a really huge table, and then you just need to buy the extra length to kind of be, even with your width to your length measurement. Okay, good question. Again, here's our little coffee pots and our coffee cups. So you can do, if I said I don't even want these in here, I could just do my red top and bottom with my coffee pots, and that's it. So you can just play around with where you want to cut. Just make sure you do your counting before you start. When I decide where I want to cut, I usually take a scissors and do a snip at each spot that I want it to be while I'm really thinking about it, because if I cut one whole strip, then I come back, yep, this is where I go, and you cut it in the wrong spot, it's like, ugh, no, it ain't gonna work. So just lay it out, figure exactly where you want it to be, either put a pin there or do a snip so that when you start cutting those strips, you don't get lost. So this one, again, this would be, it's a big border, it's beautiful. You could decide, so you have your animal print here, and then you have these two borders. You could go as wide as this if you wanted it to be. You could have the black be on the top and the red be on the bottom. You would cut this little section off. So you could cut this off, start with the red, do your animals and your black. Or you could have both your strips be on one side and then all your animals be on the other. And we got one more, again, because more adorable puppies is always good. Okay. So again, a choice of, do I want the bows right below them and the plaid above them? Or do I want both of my strips below and just the puppies in the center? Okay.
If I can ask one question, hopefully you can hear me, Cheryl, you might want to repeat it. Is there an average length, like if I'm buying stripes, do I want to buy yard and a half, any idea?
So the original way, when you had to cut off 2 triangles, you lose about the same amount that the height of your strip is, okay? Because when I turn those triangles, they're a little bit longer. So if I have a 9-inch strip, I'm going to lose about 9 inches in the finished length because I had to pull out those extra triangles. With doing it this way, I really don't lose anything because I'm just swapping triangles. I pretty much lose my quarter and seam allowance. So if you have to do it the first way, buy at least a 1/4 inch longer than you want it to finish.
Quarter yard.
Sorry, or 1/4 yard, whichever you want. If you do it this way, you can buy about the amount you want, maybe add, an inch or 2 if you want to. But you get pretty close to the same measurements as what you started.
And we call it Cheryl's way.
My way. It's the good way. One last thing is, you can't find a border print that you like, right? Or you made a quilt and you want to make a runner that matches it. Well, all you do is sew some strips together and you make your own border print, okay? It's very simple. You can use the fabrics that are left over. Again, I need to do at least 2 strip sets that are identical, maybe a 1/4 yard longer than what I wanted to finish. If I'm going to be only working with 2 strips, then I'm going to lose that extra triangle. Or if I want to do 2 runners. I make 4 strips that are identical. That way you aren't defined by what the designer wanted to put their strips. You can create whatever look you're looking for. Again, just try to make sure. I think this one ended up to be about 7.5 inches. So I try to keep it no less than 6, no more than 10, somewhere in that range. That's all I have for you today. I hope that those of you who have done these in the past at least learned a little bit something, or just refresh your memory on, oh, I haven't made those in a long time, and you know, they're quick, easy Christmas gifts, and we know we're all going to be sitting in the houses a little bit longer again this winter, so dig through your stash, see if you got some old border strips sitting around, and play with it. I am actually going to hand the mic over to Elaine real quick, and she's going to finish up on one other thing we got coming up in the shop.
Okay, and here I am. I just wanted to talk for a minute. We get so many people asking about t-shirt quilts. With everything that's happening in the world right now, we still are not doing in-house classes, but we're trying to find different companies that are partnering with us to help get you some options for virtual classes. We know they're not as much fun as hanging out with your friends, but you can actually hang out with your friends online. The virtual classes, you get sent a link, you just click on it on your computer, it opens it up, you see the teacher, you can see back and forth what the teacher's doing, you can ask questions. They work out really nice. Again, we know they're not quite as fun, but you do have the ability to learn things. T-shirt quilts are one thing that almost everybody who starts quilting is like, oh, somebody wants me to make them a t-shirt quilt. They're challenging. The fabric stretches, you need to stabilize it. There are a lot of things that you need to do that make a t-shirt quilt turn out nice and last over the years, which is why you make a t-shirt quilt. So we've partnered with Floriani for a virtual t-shirt class. It is a 4-block sampler. I know that's small, that's not a t-shirt quilt, but in the virtual class, you need to learn the whole process. So the teacher will be going through a 4-block project with you, and the kit includes the class and everything that you need except the t-shirts. So this box, we have them here at the shop. We also have them online. If you are further away from us, hate to be pushy, but you got to order them quick enough. You need this box before the class starts. The class is next Thursday, the 29th at 10 a.m. Had to verify that time, 10 a.m. Central Time. So you receive this box, and what's in here, get my microphone cord out of the way, is everything that you need. There's a batting in here. There is a neutral kind of a blue-gray fabric that will work great for your back and your sashing with pretty much any t-shirt quilt. You get the stabilizer that you need for the back of the t-shirts. You get the 12-inch 12 by 12 quilter's grid ruler and a little packet that includes a pack of needles, their water-soluble tape. They go through how and why to use that, an air erase marker, the spool of coordinating thread, and there's also a design CD in here if you have an embroidery machine. If you don't have an embroidery machine, give it to a friend who does. If you do, there's some really nice quilting designs that you can use on that CD. So everything that you need is in the kit, and again, it is next Thursday, the 29th of October, virtual online. If you sign up, you can either pick up the kit here at the store, or you can sign up. It is already online. Under the classes tab, if you go to sewingbasket.biz, at the top of the screen, pick shopping, and then the category, pick classes, and you'll see the kit there. When you purchase that, you will get sent a link for where the virtual class will be held. Everything that you need will come to you in this box. So that's enough of my pitch. I don't mean to sound pushy, but Floriani is working so hard to try to do some nice things for us. We wish we could do classes online, but if you're thinking about a t-shirt quilt, this gets you everything you need to then jump off and say, okay, Now I don't want to make that little 4-block one. Might be a cute little wall hanging for your game room or for a kid's bedroom if you've got some t-shirts of things that are their favorites. But what you need to learn is the process so that you can then go on and say, okay, here's the 22 t-shirts that my granddaughter just gave me. Now I know what to do with them. So that's the process. Sorry for the sales pitch, but we appreciate it.
One other question, wanting to know if the fabric behind you is available.
Sorry, it is not. It is not. It is cute as can be. Cheryl's idea of creating your own stripes. We've got some really cute prints that have different things on them that you can create your own stripe. One of the problems with doing demos is every time we do a demo, we need samples, and we can't always take the time or have the time to make one, so we pull old samples that we've used to show you the technique, and it forces you to get creative with your own fabric choices. If you stop in the shop, we'll always help you. If you have any questions, if you're looking online, we have not put up all the stripe fabric. Just call the shop if you saw something today that you'd like. The shop is 920-892-4751. Give us a call and tell us which one you like, and we're glad to ship it to you. But we don't have those online. It's just too hard to manage the inventory of yardage for us when we've got partial bolts and that type of thing. So that's what we've got for you today. Remember, we always do Wise Guys Wednesdays at 1 o'clock every week. And then we do our online sales second Wednesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So we'll see you again soon. And we usually pop on once or twice during the week just for fun. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.